Hey everybody here on Souls Gathering Together. I thought I would come on and share some thoughts because I don't know what was going on last night, but I was not able to get on Facebook Live on my computer or on my phone, and I did this Zoom chat with a few of you, which was great. And so what's going on right now? Well, a lot, right? One of the things that I've been experiencing is a little bit of been experiencing is a little bit of cognitive dissonance myself, with different people that I follow, different things that have been shared about what's happening, and I think what I've learned with all of that about what's truth, right, is that there's the 80-20 rule, and the word that 80-20 rule is 80% truth, 20% BS, right? Or maybe not BS, but maybe untruth. That's probably a nicer word. And so, I know some of you follow some of the same things I do, and there's different people saying different things about what's happening and what's going on. And you know, my personal, when I've gone into the Akashic Records, when I've connected with my own guides, there's not a lot of information there. And, it's like, I ask about Trump and like, what's his role? And, to be perfectly honest, how I feel about him is I think he's probably doing some good things, but I also don't particularly like him as a person. He's not very nice. And I also don't trust him. So that's, and so that's where I differ from some people in some of this, but I also think that there's some good things he's doing. So does it mean that he's meant to be the next president? I don't really know. I don't really know. That's where I kind of, I don't know, honestly. So anyway, let's just, without getting political, um, uh, I do believe that what's happening, and Lori Ladd just did this great video about this. I shared this on my personal Facebook page, is that we're seeing the crumbling of the 3D systems. The election, the whole elections are just, it's a farce anyway. It's not just now. It's been like that for a long time. Just when we saw what happened to Bernie, Bernie Sanders, who I used to like, and then what they did to him, they kind of stole the election from him. They stole whatever it was, the nomination a few years ago. And that's when I was like, oh no, that is not cool. I am done. And then I learned more about Bernie, and I'm skeptical of everyone, but I think what's happening now is that that we're seeing this, the 3D, and this is what we were talking about last night. Some of you were there. It's being more, the 3D world is becoming more and more unsustainable. And just in Maine, we saw the Governor Mills just release this insane rule that we're supposed to wear masks everywhere outside. So just, or maybe not everywhere outside, but in public. And, this is what we're seeing happening all over. A lot of governors, bringing down these dictatorial rules. And so this is what I also, about the virus. And so I shared with some of you recently that somebody we know, who we love, is sick. And she's getting better, though. She's getting better. Unlike what the CDC told her to take, which was Tylenol, she is taking zinc, which I gave her, actually. Zinc, vitamin C, vitamin D, elderberry, getting outside, fresh air, sunlight. And she's told me she did have a fever. She said she felt pretty rotten. She had a bad cough and a fever and went back and forth. And she said her cough's getting better and she's feeling better. So yeah, but it's a real thing, it's a real thing. And so here's what I picked up on that in the Akashic Records, is that yes, it's real. Yes, it's something to be cautious about. And yes, it's being used to manipulate us, and it's being used to create control. And it's nothing new. It's like, this is what these, certain people have been doing for years, trying to create control. So, and as I say that, it's also like the us versus them mentality is also not helpful, because ultimately the only way for us to move into the fifth dimensional unity consciousness is to bring everybody, anybody, we all have like darkness in us. We all have, there's some who have more than others, but I feel like ultimately what's really going to be helpful for us in moving towards the kind of world we want to live in, the kind of world we want to create for our children and our descendants is really trying to have compassion, understanding, and empathy for everyone and whatever they believe and what they how they perceive things. And yes, we know there are some people who are taking advantage of this whole situation, but and yes, maybe we do speak up, to say like this doesn't make any sense, this is not right. But I have some friends, people who I'm friends with. Let me be careful how I say here, I guess. But what I think is that it doesn't necessarily even help to fight against the system to the extent it's all about how it feels in our bodies. So yes, I do speak up sometimes because it's just in my blood. I'm the indigo vibration. Like this is wrong. This feels wrong to me. That people need to breathe fresh air. There's children at this Waldorf school here in Maine who have been having suffering. I've heard this from somebody who knows a daughter or a son, daughter or son, I don't know who, a child that goes there. Kids have been passing out. They have been lightheaded. It's called hypoxia. It's lack of oxygen because they wear masks 5 days a week at school, which is way more than most kids are doing at public school. Ironically, at a Waldorf school, very strange. So it's not good, too much of it. I think, maybe if we would have been told, yeah, some people this is dangerous for, and we want to be careful around them, older people, it might be good to wear masks around them or do whatever you can do to keep them safe. But this blanket, you have to do this everywhere you go. And the mandates and why is it that small businesses had to shut down? I have a few friends whose businesses went out, their massage business, acupuncture business went out of business, and the whole time Walmart and Target are able to stay open. It doesn't make sense, right? We connect the dots and we start to see and however, even so we see that there's things that are being done to us, but it doesn't help us at the same time to get in that victim and to stay in that victim mentality. So it's kind of like with everything from what I've learned in my work, intuitive work, and just connecting with spirit, is this is true and also that's true at the same time. And this is true and also there's that. And this approach is good to take, but then not too much of that approach. And ultimately, the ultimate truth for me, and I'll share this with you in my hopes of trying to be helpful, is what feels right in your body, what feels aligned, what feels good. And if you're watching something and it feels really scary to you, like I'm not going to watch that movie, The Social Dilemma. There's some other movie coming out about the virus and mass, like it seemed, and I watched some preview and I was like, oh God, this is just creating fear, right? If it's creating fear, if it's creating anger, it's probably not helpful. Knowing that doesn't mean those things, that we're closing our eyes to what's really going on, but it's all about what aligns with in our bodies, and it changes from moment to moment. So at one moment there could be, I'm sorry, I was just reading what you said, Sydney. Yeah, it's interesting. That's a good point. I think, at one moment something could be true, and then you feel differently, and then something else feels true, and we take a different approach. So I think it's hard to know what's really going on, right? And what's true. What is exactly going on with this virus? Does somebody actually know what's going on with the virus and not telling us? Or is everybody doing the best they can with something that is I'm just looking at comments here. Missy, yeah. About Mills, I don't know about her. I really don't know about her. I have my doubts about her, but I'm not sure. Part of me thinks she's part of the manipulation, and part of me thinks she's just doing but people are telling her that they think this is real about this virus, and so she's just kind of doing what she thinks she's supposed to do. Her sister, we all know the Mills family they've been in Maine state government for a while. Her brother, her sister was the head of the CDC in Maine, Dora Mills. So there's something doesn't feel quite right there to me. It's hard to know. And I certainly don't feel like it's healthy necessarily to go around thinking everybody's like part of this, cabal. But because most people, I think, I say this to my kids, like most people who work in government, most people that we know, they're good people. They're doing the best they can. They're trying to make a difference. But then we also know that there's some, or at least I believe that there's some very bad characters, shady characters, a shadow government that would not, most of us have never seen and would never see because we don't, that are behind this, all this manipulation and all this stuff that we're seeing. So anyway, yeah, I mean, I think what we were talking about in this gathering last night was just when we see this fear, when we see some of this massive manipulation, and it's like they're showing us with their true colors. They're showing us kind of some of this agenda of creating, dystopia and all this surveillance and rules and all this stuff. But then again, it doesn't serve us to focus on that too much. What it does, how do we change this? Focus on what we want to create. Focus on, and that's what I'm trying to do, like homeschooling our kids, living in this community in, rural Maine in a smallish town, connecting with other families who believe the same things we do, and we create our own little microcosm. We're doing some homesteading stuff. We're building that. We create our own little sub-society and live the way we want to live, being in connection with nature, meditating, just creating our lives, not looking to these larger systems and letting them tell, and focusing all our energy on the fear that they're creating. Because again, the vibration of fear is what keeps us stuck in 3D. And the vibration of anger and division, that's what we're seeing, all this polarization, people, conflicted, mask, no mask, Democrat, Republican, that the truth probably is somewhere in the middle, right? That's honestly, in my experience, the truth is usually somewhere in the middle. But ultimately what serves us the best is to connect with what, to try to do our own inner work, clear our own shadows, and try to have compassion, understanding for others' perspectives, which might be very different from our own. Believe me, I've done my inner work on that, of what I've been triggered by, which I get very triggered by masks, and I really don't like them. But on the other hand, my grandfather died from the virus. Our friend got sick. Do they work? I don't know. Maybe they do in some situations, but should people be wearing them, like walking around outside? Absolutely not. That's my opinion, but anyway, I've been aware of my own triggers and some of this stuff, and my own triggers around various politicians. And yes, thank you, Missy. I like to be in the middle. That's a comfortable place for me, and it's really where I live. I really feel like I'm in the middle of a lot of these things. So anyway, I'm just, thinking of you all, and thank you for, showing up here and commenting. It's a really weird time, and I don't think we really know, like, what's, people, we want to know what's going to happen, but ultimately the message, I think, is that we have the power, we have the control to take control of our own lives. It doesn't matter. I mean, it doesn't, it really doesn't at a level, who is the president, because the president does not rule our lives. And Janet Mills doesn't rule our lives. Whoever is like governing us, unless we let them, unless we give our power away to them. But that's what we're being asked to do, is to trust ourselves. We are creators of our own reality, along with our guides, divine source, God, angels. We can create it with the power of our minds to visualize what do we want to, how do we want to live? What kind of world do we want to live in? Focus on that. The more we focus on that, it literally brings it into reality. It literally makes it come into, I mean, I do it a lot. Like, law of attraction, visualizing the power. Thank you for your kind words. The power of just, Michael Jordan, visualize himself putting the ball in the basket over and over, and he would do it over and over. And so that's what we need to do, is visualize the world we want to be living in, and how we want to connect with each other's hearts, how we are all just, I'm getting so tired of all the polarity and the fighting and the just, it's exhausting. I've gone through it with my own family. Some of them were very angry with me and some of my views, but we're healing, and I've done a lot of my own inner work to try to, forgive and not hold grudges against them. And maybe they've done that for me too, because they don't like some of the things I'm talking about. But anyway, so Yeah, I think that's what we're being asked to do, is to just hold the vibration of what the world, the new earth, of healing, of understanding, of living in alignment with the earth, of visualizing people together in harmony, holding hands, like just all that stuff, and really focusing on that and not on the dystopian false timeline that we're seeing. It's not, and this is, I'm not just saying this. I do sometimes go in to talk to my own guides and ask, like, if everything's supposed to be getting better, why is this happening? Like, this doesn't seem great to me. Um, and but I think what we're seeing is it's false. And so what I picked up on just the other day from what came through as Great Spirit, as a bunch of divine guides, divine source, God energy, was we are on that timeline. We are already there. We're going towards this new way of being. And it's the momentum is, it's like we're in the current. The momentum's flowing in that direction, and to go, yes, we could try to paddle backwards against the current, but why would we do that? Why would anybody do that? And then it's almost like virtually impossible to do that at this point, that we're going there. We're just seeing the shadows being played out. We're seeing them being, Lori Ladd talks about this, being alchemized. We're seeing the darkness that's been there for thousands of years, all coming up to the surface, and we're experiencing it. And thankfully, people are starting to wake up because they're seeing the blatant, the control mechanisms that have been there for a long time, that just been under the surface, and now it's just right out in front of our faces, and we're starting to question what is really going on, which we should. I think just question everything. Anyway, thank you all for being here, and just I'm get outside. I'm going to go outside in a minute and try to go for a little bike ride because it's nice and warm, kind of warmish here in Maine. We've got a nice few sunny days coming up, and just being outside, connecting with the earth, so healing, and just taking some deep breaths, soaking up the sun, and continue to hold the vibration of positivity and the way, holding that picture and that feeling of how we want the world to be, because I do feel like we're going to get there. I just hope it'd be in my lifetime. Wouldn't that be nice? I'd like it to be in my lifetime. It'd be nice to feel that and see that. Thank you all for being here. It's an honor and a pleasure, and blessing. Bye. Talk to you soon.